All right, I'd like to call the meeting of the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors to order for September 21st. It is 6:00 something. Can you tell me can someone tell me the time?
6:01.
Oh, okay. I thought it was later. 6:01 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the agenda review. To my knowledge, there is no reason to change any of the items on the agenda. I don't know if anyone else has any commentary on that. Hearing none, we'll accept the agenda as submitted. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me for a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that.
I think it's just a delay.
All right. Okay, did I just see Grant arrive?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is Katie here yet?
No.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the visitor section. Are we aware of any visitors that are here wishing to speak? Are there any members in the conference room there that need to speak to the
No.
board?
No.
Okay, and no one waiting in queue in the
No.
chat? Okay, seeing no visitors, then I'm going to move on to the next section of the agenda, which is the consent agenda. There are 3 items in there. There are the minutes from September 7th, the media packet, and the staff changes for our information. Anyone wish to pull anything out for discussion? Hearing none, we're going to accept the consent agenda as submitted. As we've done in the past, Nina and I are going to tag team on this meeting, so I'm going to turn it over to Nina for the reports to the board.
Thanks, Nilda. The only thing we have is a student board representative report, and I believe Sarah is caught at school, so we're not going to be able to get that tonight, but I don't know, Bill, did she say anything to you, or?
No, I met with the student reps this afternoon, along with Brett, and they were just having a hard time making everything work with all their athletic schedules and co-curricular schedules, so they're all pretty booked up this fall.
Okay.
So I invited them next time, if they couldn't do it through Zoom, they couldn't do it tonight. I said, if they can't be here in person, Zoom works as well.
Okay. All right.
Bill, I'm sorry, did I interrupt someone?
No, go ahead.
I was just wondering, is there any opportunity for them to perhaps do a written report or a little snapshot or something when they can't be present that someone else could read for them?
Well, one of the things Joanna just whispered, and that's why you were asking if you were interrupting, I think, was could they do a video? So I'll talk with them. I'm meeting with them next Wednesday. We meet every Wednesday, so Brett does more of the meetings than I do. Yeah.
It would be great to have a little snippet of something that just, shows their interest in all of it. Not that they're not interested, I know they're busy, but just something.
No, they're doing some good work, and they're helping with, I'll tell later some of the help they're giving me. That's one of the items down below.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Old business, implicit bias and anti-racism training. Bill?
Right to that item, actually.
Okay.
I'll start right there with the student board reps. We met today to brainstorm some ways to get student feedback. They've thought of I need to talk with Sue McCormick some more from Creative Discourse Group about, they've got some ideas that are a little different than what she proposed for getting feedback, and so I want to talk with her, but they think they can engage kids a little bit better than having a listening session where everyone has to come because of everyone's busyness in the fall. And they were very responsive, trying to get a cross-section of students and all of that. So I wanted to let you know I was working with them. I've been doing, that's a lot of what my work has been in this past 2 weeks, is really soliciting people to participate. So I know I forwarded all of you the email that you could use as a template to solicit. Right now, we have about 25 people signed up that have said they want to. I have also heard back from people I've asked that said, hey, if we know the date, it's actually easier for us to sign up. So we're setting dates this week. Aaron's working on that with Sue. We've got all the facilitators identified for the different sessions, so we're working on that. And just to let you all know, the leadership, as you know, part of the contract with Creative Discourse Group is workshops for the leadership team. We had our first workshop this past Tuesday, which I thought was pretty successful. People I've tracked in, Kelsey I hadn't asked, but she's given me the nod that she probably agrees. And so that was all, it's all the work where we're at right now. All of that work. So we're moving.
Any questions?
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
What is, so one, have you thought about just like pulling kids out of class?
So one
For
thing,
like an hour.
so the K-8s
Yeah.
are thinking of doing that.
Okay.
For the middle schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Kelsey, so she doesn't know
Okay,
that.
yeah.
But I talked to Joan and Angela in the past 24 hours, and they said, maybe we just do that.
Yeah.
Or with a group of kids that are doing leadership work within the schools.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then also, the workshop, what is the workshop entail? What did the workshop?
A lot of
Just
it,
give a little-
today we, yesterday we looked at, we started to look at, we actually looked at some of the history of bias within Vermont. They started right with that. And Sue and Nadia said they always start with that type of work to kind of ground our work. And then we started to look at ways of, and Kelsey's got the right in front of her, the handouts we were using, which were system, go ahead.
We did the cycle of socialization, so kind of where we get our implicit bias from and how it shapes it, and then how we can go through the cycle of liberation. How can we break that cycle? How can we challenge our own beliefs? So it was really important work and very reflective.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then they gave us a framework to start looking at systemic issues and how do you look at systemic issues and brainstorm how we've gotten there, and then what are the biases within that systemic piece. And we're going to be doing that work for another 2 pieces, so another 2 workshops. So it's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Anybody questions, comments on Zoom? Okay. 7B, setting goals. Grant, I don't know if there's much of an update. I don't know if you want to just kind of table this and leave it there.
Yeah, just the stuff that we told you guys about last time is in progress.
Okay.
Nothing in the update.
Okay. All right, retreat update, 7C, Bill?
Yeah.
Excuse me, do you need a motion to table that?
Thought I gave an update.
Huh?
Thought I just gave an update.
He did, he gave an update, Nilda.
Oh, pardon me, sorry.
Nope, it's okay, sorry.
It was quite brief, Grant.
Yeah.
Noted.
Thanks, Nilda.
You're
Retreat.
welcome.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks. Bill, retreat update?
Yes.
Please.
Last Friday, Nilda, Nina, and myself met with Phil Gore, who last time we met, Phil, was right here in this room, to plan out the retreat. And so we talked about the pieces of what folks had wanted to talk about and what we thought were good topics for the retreat. And then, so Phil and I met Monday afternoon and it's not a detailed agenda, it's kind of packing points to the agenda. And so probably more of it of talking about, and some of this you've seen before with the work we did with Mike Dewey's last year, but just a different way. He uses this FASTER acronym for intentional governance, and then having discussions around good governance, what's the shared moral imperative of the board? Like, what's our why? Why are we here as a board? Each of us probably comes with our own, but what's our shared one? And what's our shared vision of what success would be if the work of the board? So that's, he and I felt as we were talking, could get in, that's a good 2 hours right there. So that's kind of the draft agenda right now.
Great.
And there'll be a Hardak on October 3rd. We'll bring a light dinner, but it's going to be a working dinner, as Nova keeps reminding me. And then we'll be out of there by 8.
When's it start? Starts at 5:30?
Starts at 5:30.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Alrighty. 7D, construction manager pre-qualification determination. Bill, do you want to?
You might want to start with a motion.
Oh,
and then
sorry.
we'll have to introduce it after that.
I'm sorry, it's been a long week already. Can I have a motion for the administration seeks a motion to pre-qualify, is that Negley?
Yeah,
Negley and Chase and Engelberg Construction to be approved as qualified bidders to submit a fee proposal for construction manager as a constructor for the 2023-2024 MRUSD Capital Improvement ESSER Building Project. Can I have a motion? Al, can I have a second? Joanna, thank you. Any discussion?
So
Bill?
I'll introduce this. This
Yep.
is the work that, that you all approved back in August. And so we're on a timeline so that we can get into, we'll be bringing bids to you. We had 2 firms, Negley and Chase and Engelberg, respond to our RFI, our information requests, and they both were pre-qualified. We interviewed them. There was a team of Marty Spalding, who works for PCI, who's our clerk of the works, owner's rep, Les Gangus, the architect, Len Smith, as we all know, Len's the facilities director at BFA, and Josh, and I'm forgetting his last name, who's Ransom, thank you, who's the facilities director at City School. Derek just was really busy. He said, I trusted the group that's there. So we had a good interview with them. We talked with them about their different projects. They submitted a lot of information on their qualifications. Both these firms have extensive experience working with education in the K-12 and collegiate, private, public. They've all had many successful projects. So I'm recommending that you and what this pre-qualification, this is probably the most important step, because when you receive bids, and they'll be opened in the first meeting in November, so November 2nd, we can't open them, we have to open them in the meeting. You'll have to award to the lowest bidder, unless the 2 bids are within 1%. That's state statute.
Okay, any questions? Any questions online? Okay, go ahead and vote. Peter?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al? Yes, did you say yes? Al?
Yeah.
Okay. And Grant?
Yes.
And Nina, yes. Okay. Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 to nothing. All right, moving on. New business. So we got some unpaid leave requests. We'll have to make 3 different separate motions for this. First one is unpaid leave request from Jennifer Johnson from Saks Literacy Interventionist. Intervention. I can't say that. So the administration seeks a motion to approve the unpaid leave request for Jennifer Johnson as presented in attachment 8A. Can I have a motion for that, please? Motion.
So
Motion. Who? Nilda and Al, okay. Any discussion?
We support this unpaid leave. It's maternity leave, as she said in her letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, go ahead and take the vote. Peter?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al?
Yeah.
Grant?
Yes.
Nina, yes. Motion passes. 8-0. Okay. Same thing for 8B. It's unpaid leave request for Kyla
Kyla.
Seaver, MRUSD Applied Behavior Services Coordinator.
Yeah.
So we need a motion. The administration seeks a motion to approve the unpaid leave request for Kyla Seaver as presented. Can I have a motion, please?
Make that motion.
Susan and Al, thank you. Any discussion?
We support this one as well. It's another
Okay.
maternity.
Okay, support, all right. We'll go ahead and vote. Peter?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al? Grant?
Yes.
Nina? Yes. Motion passes 8-0. Okay, and same thing for 8C. It's unpaid leave request for Kayla Brule, sorry, Sachs paraeducator. The motion, can I have a motion? The administrator seeks a motion to approve the unpaid leave request for Kayla Brule as presented. Can I have, Ryer, can I have a second?
Second.
Joanna, thank you. Any discussion? Administration
We
supports
support
that?
this as well.
Okay. All right, go ahead and vote for this. Peter?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
And Nina. Motion passes 8-0. Okay. Moving on. Let's see, 8D, FY24 budget timelines. I know usually Martha does this. Bill's going to be Martha tonight.
Yes. As you, hopefully the board saw, I sent you an email on this just to let you know that Martha's out for a little bit. She's in good place, so.
Good.
From what I heard yesterday. So just wanted to let you know that. We're trying to be a little bit more deliberate, and I wanted to present the board the budget timeline. I think we did it last year, but we're heading this early. With what Martha and I have had several discussions and what is happening right now with the current interest rates and everything. We would like to come, the big thing I'd like to point out to you that in the first meeting in November, we'd like to come to you and look at some core budget assumptions. There's some percentages that I'd like to be able to give the principals and the directors before they go out and build their budgets. When you look at what's happening to energy and anything that's aligned with petroleum right now, the amount that's hitting budget lines, and we'll be renegotiating a transportation budget this year and 2 master agreements. So some of that will have to be an executive session, but I would like the board to work with Martha and myself to be back by those times to set guidance. So, because if we don't have those, Martha and I will be choosing, and we can tell you as you set those, what that does for an estimated overall budget increase. And I'm actually pretty concerned from what I'm seeing that's happening out there in the economy. So, for numbers that we're seeing, and some of the things we've been kind of letting know, some information from some of the new contracts that we have to negotiate.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Otherwise, it's pretty much the general way we've done things in the past. But I think it's better for us, and we're taking this page out of what Colchester School District does. They've had this for years, where they sit with the superintendent and the business manager sit with a board late October, early November, and set those percentages and realize this is what it'll give you with what the current staffing patterns are. So there's not a lot of, it reduces some of the back and forth of asking for new budgets.
Nilda?
Yeah, Bill, I think this is great to be proactive on this, so that we're driving the train rather than sort of becoming victim to what, we hear about. So this is all positive.
Yeah, just please realize there'll be some big assumptions because we will have big numbers from the state we don't get until December or January. So.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be doing this timeline starting next year too, like.
Yeah,
I like
this. This is kind of something I did somewhat similar. I will tell you the core budget assumption is something I took from Amy Miner's work in Colchester, which I thought she had a great idea. So always willing to steal good ideas from colleagues. But I always started somewhere in early October, a discussion, actually a forum with the public. With the board held the forum with the public to talk about this is where we are with enrollment, this is what we see for some of our core assumptions. What do you think about that, public?
Good.
And I think this also helps the board have a better working knowledge of where we're at when we're trying to, make decisions and looking at different, things that come before us that we have to, either cut or allow to go forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? All right, moving on to 8E, board member half votes. I'm going to turn this over to Nilda.
So as part of our goal to try to get rid of some of these items that are on the agenda for future agenda that have been on there too long, Ryer had originally brought this item of board member half votes. And actually, Ryer, I'd like to sort of give it back to you to sort of reframe what it is that you were looking for and how you want the discussion to go, and then we have some information in our package. So not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit.
It's okay, I like to talk. So when I was running for school board, a thing that was brought to my attention by a number of people in Fairfield and not in Fairfield was that they felt like their representation on the board was not in line with what the population of their schools were. So, and it was something that board member LaRosa had brought to my had brought to my attention as well, which is that these numbers have changed. And so when I looked at the list, what I didn't see in our packet was a current number of what the actual populations are today. And so the whole thing was like, I understand why there are 2 half votes, I understand all that, but from what I heard from people and looking at it myself, it seemed like these numbers have changed a little bit. And so the discussion, I guess, for me would be, 1, is this something we need to look at? And is this something we need to look at all? And if so, is this something we need to think about the communities we're serving and if they're being represented equitably by this board? So that's it.
Thank you. So Bill, are the current numbers in the packet? Because I had trouble finding that too after you and I talked.
It was in a different packet from a previous meeting.
So I put the numbers in here, in the current packet we have right now. I gave you a couple of things. I gave you a memo because I talked to Peter Lynn, who was the attorney for the merger, and wrote the letter. That said, because when the merger happened, the AOE required an attorney to certify that the process of establishing the votes was within constitutional proportionality. And so, because it's not so much Vermont statutes that rules this, but the federal ruling on representation. So that's why I gave you that first memo, and this was an email exchange, and I just had to rewrite instead of give you the email because it was, going back and forth.
I think addressing what Ryer said.
Right, so I'm going to go through the next page there is from the merger packet, just showing you what the population was at that time. And then I gave you the Vermont statutes. And the last page, I gave you a bunch of data. Maybe it's too much to go through, but at the bottom is the 2020 census numbers. And so for this year, if I went to the census page, I could get and we went through the town clerks on this as well. And so we had surveyed all the town clerks.
This is old information.
The 2020 census?
The 1891?
No, the
Sorry.
2044 for Fairfield, 62 for city.
Bill, I don't think we have.
You don't have
I
this?
have, I have 1891.
We don't have that.
Bill, after you and I got off the phone, I tried to find what you were referencing, and I couldn't, so.
Oh, I don't know why you didn't get in the packet. I'm sorry, because
That's
this was,
okay.
Yep,
this is
that's-
what we were trying to give all of you, because
that's
I agree, you should have the latest figures.
Gotcha.
You should have, so I can read this to you. Sorry.
I can go make copies if you'd like.
People like copies, or you want?
I'd love a copy.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not in there.
let's take a minute.
Do my math.
Let's take a minute.
But, I mean, while she's making copies, we can discuss a little bit. I believe that the numbers that actually changed were in, did we say St. Albans Town is the number that?
They've all changed. They've all changed.
Right.
So we'll just wait for that to come back.
Right, but it's not, Fairfield not the most significant number of data that's changed, but regardless, I don't think it's significant change as far as the numbers go, but that's my opinion, so I'll wait for the stuff. Yeah, Bill, I kind of ran out of time because it was too close to call you and say, I don't think we have what you want.
Yeah, so I saw this packet on Friday, because we were building this graph, because I knew we needed the,
Right.
Aaron and I were talking about it.
And then I thought that since I maybe didn't have the most up-to-date agenda, I didn't want to rock the boat, so.
It's okay. We're doing all right.
But anyway, we're gonna get this resolved as best we can tonight, so knock a few things
Well, actually, I
out.
could probably read off, Peter's got a copy right in front of him, because we printed it, give him a printed copy. So, she's getting you, but just, I'll read this again. So, the 2020 census, Fairfield had 2,044 residents. St. Albans City had 6,862 residents, and St. Albans Town had 6,988 residents.
I think your city number's wrong, can you say it again?
6,862. And then we asked for the registered voters from each town. The registered voters was 1,476. City was 5,872, and town was 4,738.
So I think if you do the math there, you'll find that Fairfield is not the town that has the biggest increase at all, and that the numbers are pretty low even in the city and Fairfield as far as the changes.
And this is based on population, not registered voters.
It has to be based on
Correct.
population according to Pietro.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and part of this is regulated by the statute and the articles of consolidation, I think. But, just for a little background, when the consultants came together and worked with us to try to come through, getting to these articles of consolidation, we did have to work through a process where, consolidating 3 different districts into one, we had to look at numbers, we had to look at effectiveness of how many members do you want on a board, how many people do you need to serve, and how can we make this in such a way that, they're not, to be kind of crazy, too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. I mean, you have to have sort of a process to streamline it, especially when we were first kicking it off and stuff. So there was research done in the background by our consultant to bring back, how other districts were looking at this, and this seemed to be the most, I'm going to use the wrong word, equitable, proportionate way to do it, and it still gave Fairfield 2 voices, which, that's what we really wanted. We wanted to make sure that it was more than one voice. And so it's been very helpful. I mean, we've had situations, as most of you know, where there might have been a half vote that made a difference in a couple of very minor decisions, but I think it's worked out okay. I don't know if this is helping you, Ryer, with sort of how we got here. I don't know if you're fine. I mean, if you have any angst about it, as far as how it's working from a decision-making perspective.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have any angst about it. I just wanted to be clear, like, I have no problem with it. I mean, it doesn't affect me. So I thought this was important to bring up because it was something I heard from many people in Fairfield. That they felt underrepresented, and so.
I think it's a good point, because I think there might have been some confusion early on, and that half vote does kind of throw you when you're actually counting it, right? When it becomes significant, like, wait a minute. But I think, unless there are objections from the board, I think we're good at keeping it where it's at and moving forward, and, we can certainly monitor this as we move along. I know with, there's a lot of restrictions with Fairfield and building and stuff, so I don't anticipate that this number in Fairfield is going to change drastically because they have a pretty good handle and control on their development plans and stuff, so unless that's changed. But is there any other discussion related to this item?
If this were to
Do we
change,
feel comfortable?
yeah, Nilda, if this
I think
was to
our-
change, I don't know if Bill did, what would it take to change it? Does it have to go to vote and all that stuff? What's the process to,
Oh,
yeah,
it would, Bill, right? It would go through a whole
I haven't asked,
process.
I think so, I haven't asked that question, but I think it has to go out to the voters again to change
I'm just
the
curious.
articles.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Because
Yeah,
these
I-
articles were adopted by the voters to make the merger.
Yeah. Bill, I think it came up in our early discussions when we were still in the consulting phase of what would happen to change this, and you'd have to go through the whole process.
Yep.
As I recall.
Okay.
But anyway, if we're comfortable, can we cross this off the future agenda item list and not see it for a while unless something comes up as a current need? Is that a good consensus
Yes.
to reach?
Yep.
Yes, Nilda.
Okay, good. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, moving on, 8F. Education support, professionals, ESP negotiations. This is a letter to the association. We actually need a motion for this one. Administration seeks authorization to send a letter of intent to open ESP negotiations to the association. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Grant, okay. All right. We have Joanna made a motion, Grant second. Any discussion, questions?
This is our annual, or it has been annual, hopefully, I say selfishly with my bias, that it isn't for a little while, but that we open negotiations, it's just a formality to start it.
Do we, for the committee negotiation, do we put that in the motion too, or is that
No,
just
I don't
afterwards?
think we
Okay,
should do that.
all right, okay. All right, so for the administration seeks authorization to send a letter of intent to open ESP negotiations to the association. We can go ahead and vote on that. Peter?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Joanna, sorry, Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al? Grant?
Yes.
And Nina. Motion passes 8-0. And then, just before we move on, I guess, that time of year too, for committee, picking the committee. I know last year, for the ESP, Joanne, I think you were on it.
Me, Jack,
You, Jack.
and Al,
Is it Al? Okay.
I believe.
I don't know, do we need 3 people again, or?
It's good usually to have three, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Are there is there anybody interested in being on the committee for ESP negotiations? Don't everybody talk at once?
Do it.
You want to do
Well, you guys
anything?
can think about it too, because we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think
And I
that,
know it's a committee that everybody really likes to be on, so, if we have to draw straws later or whatever, we can do that.
Well, we already have Joanna. I mean, if we can, is anybody other interest tonight?
No, I'm still in.
You still- okay.
Interested.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of interest, it's always good to open it up to people who haven't done it, just to get some of that experience out there.
Yep.
But, we need people that are also available and willing, so.
All right. So do you want to wait, Nilda, on this then?
Well, I think we can keep it open to those that have expressed interest
Okay.
and add more if they want it.
Okay.
I would also say, I mean, from my point of view, and I'm kind of looking at my colleague, but I think if we got this sewed up by our next meeting, August 12th, that would be good.
August 12th.
That'd be great. Thanks, Bill.
October. I'm putting
Wish it was
shit back.
August.
Wish it was,
It was August. Okay.
October 12th.
Okay. So we'll just make a note to make sure we do that. Okay. All right. So moving on to the professional staff negotiations. Administration seeks authorization to send a letter of intent to open PS negotiations to the association. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Al. Any discussion? Bill, anything to add to that?
We're basically the same.
Same thing?
Same thing we just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. All right. Any questions? Okay. All right. If not, we'll go ahead and vote. Peter?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
I keep doing that. Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al? Grant?
Yes.
And Nina. Motion passes 8-0, and I guess to send the letter. Also, the same question, if there's anybody that wants to be on the committee for negotiations, think about it, and we can determine that next time. Any questions?
It was Nilda, Nina, Susan, and Grant.
Yep, last time.
Around.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Number 9, other business for warrants. So the you find in attachment 9A, so the administration seeks a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that that passage of this motion will act as an authorization and signature of any individual board members participating remotely. Could I have a motion, please?
So move.
Grant, thank you. Al, thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Go ahead and vote. Peter?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Ryer?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
And Nina. Motion passes 8-0. Warrants to be signed. Other business, superintendent, Bill, the report?
Yeah,
The bill report.
The bill report, there we go. That's a
Superintendent
little
report.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. So I talked to you about the work that we're doing with the Creative Discourse Group. The other piece, a couple things I'd like to let you know about. I'm not sure if I've told the board this. I know I've told all the staff because tomorrow will be my 4th of 5 schools. But I'm doing monthly office hours at every school, and they've been great. A lot of it, it's unagendaed, it's listening time, it's come and talk about whatever. My first school I actually started at was here at Fairfield, was it 2-3 weeks ago. We had like 6 or 7 people show up, and it was anything from, I usually start with like, what's your favorite fall activity? It's a nice icebreaker, but it's really anything people want to talk about. And so a few times it's gotten into business, but a lot of it's just been like, how you doing? How are things going? Start of school. You know, that doesn't happen for me when I'm out in the classrooms doing the tour. It's kind of hard to talk to the teacher, and because they're busy working with kids, and I don't want to interrupt that. So it's just a different way of getting a flavor of what's going on. So that's happening. I'm rotating from mornings to evenings because I know some people are early morning people that get to school, and some people are stay late after. And I know whenever I was in the morning part, I was busy getting ready for that day's classes. So it's just trying to provide different times. It's been really good. It's another good way to connect with staff. I plan to start doing that with the community, but I want to wait a couple of months. I want to get these really solid, and then I'll start doing some. Hey, I'll be at, pick a coffee shop or pick a place that I'll be at, and just to have people be able to. I'm here. I'll be there for 2 hours. Whatever's on your mind, come and talk. So. Trying to do more of that. Yesterday, I had a great day at City School. I want to thank Joan and Wendy and Margot, who ran the cross-country meet. I got to, they asked me a couple of weeks ago, they said, hey, you run cross-country meets, why don't you come and help out with the middle school meet? It's great to see, I think there's probably close to, it was all our 3 schools plus Georgia. And I want to say there was probably 150 middle schoolers, close to 200. They did a great job. Awesome to see them, so that was a lot of fun. And then the other work that's been going on is really supporting my colleagues on the leadership team and meeting with them. We're getting those back and going. And I think things are still positive at the schools. I know we're starting to have some hiccups with staffing situations. And we're not the only place that's happening. And we're really running low on subs. So I just have to give the board that hard information. Even though we've increased it, trying to find substitutes is nearly impossible. So.
Bill, for your report of the meeting with the public and coffee shops, would it be beneficial to have somebody from the board?
If some board members wanted to join me, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'd be glad to have that, but I haven't put together that schedule. I'm really
No,
kind of
that's fine.
waiting
Just
to probably November. I want to get this real solid, and I've done both these things in my past, and I find them really beneficial because it's the stories that you learn things from. You don't learn from walking around and observing.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you.
You'll have to put Chester's on your list.
Gestures. Okay.
Top of the list.
Top of the list.
That's a pretty good place to
Okay. Glad to go there. I'll go wherever. Just tell me where I need to go.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Anybody for online? For Bill? Okay. All right, 9C, board announcements. Does anybody have anything they'd like to announce? Sure, go ahead, Ryan.
So I was at the Flynn on this past Saturday for the Vermont Symphonic Orchestra, and it was a world premiere piece by Daniel. His name's DRB. He's a composer. He's a Haitian composer who does a lot of work, and it was this world premiere of his piece called Riots and Prayers. It was kind of like multimedia piece, and the point of it was to do this beautiful orchestral piece and then have individual people speak within it. So they had 5 individual people speak within this kind of in between the music swells and stuff. And one of those was a student from BFA actually. And I know we won't go into specifics about her, but she did incredible. She was amazing. It was really powerful, the things she said. She just talked about her own experiences in schools, and it's a big deal because this is they chose 5 people out of probably, I don't know, hundreds, so across Vermont. So that's kind of a cool thing. It was a really big deal. The stuff she said was beautiful, and the music, of course, was amazing as well. So just a shout out to her, that anonymous person I won't mention, but it was really cool. It's a good sign for Maple Run that we're producing students who are able to do that in front of a packed crowd at the Flynn. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Joanna?
I just also wanted to make an announcement. Maybe people already know this in the schools, but on Friday, September 30th, at the State House in Montpelier, there is a Vermont Student Anti-Racism Day, where they're putting on a day to promote racial equity and youth activism, and it's a great opportunity for students.
And I know we have some kids going from Maple Run.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I want to thank Bill for getting the requested information out to the board in a very timely fashion. It's very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have something.
Yeah, go ahead, Milda.
So I haven't forgotten the superintendent evaluation process. It's still on my list. I had a couple of medical issues that have kind of gotten in my way here over the last couple of months, but I'm on the upswing. So I hope to get a presentation for you guys to react to in the next month. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is I think I've reached out to everyone just to let you know that I'm still around here, and that I just want to reconnect a little bit, because I know we kind of got a little disconnected, or else I've been a little bit disconnected over the last couple of months. But I think everything's on the upswing, and hopefully we can get back to me being there face to face and continue the hard work that we have to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Nelda. Anybody else? Okay. Agenda for future meetings. We have the.
Oh, I have one thing for that. I want to get that July 2023 off this agenda for future meeting. The reason I put that there is I don't think we should have a July meeting in July's because it's just too much, and it's kind of one of those months that we usually take a break. We had that July meeting this past July. It was kind of a little bit of an issue because we tried to do the thing with Collins Pearly, etc. But yet we had so many people that weren't available that we didn't do it justice. So I think we should eliminate that as even an option and only add it if there's more is necessary to take care of business. So I'd like to get that off the agenda.
Okay. Thanks, Nelda.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll take that off. What's left is the DLO program update, including school safety worker that Joanna wanted to put on, and I guess that'll be on the November.
Yep, we have the report. for
Okay.
that, too.
Proficiency grading, again, I think this was me, not Joanna, but I think it's a good for everybody, I don't care whose name's there. That'll be for October.
Yep, yeah, John and Sarah are ready, they're getting ready for your next meeting.
Okay, and then the non-political flags and flagpole, Susan. There's no ET on that, but we'll just keep that on here. Okay, okay. Anything else to add? Anything else to add online? Okay, potential executive session, as of now, there's nothing, and we are at the end of our agenda. We are adjourned.
Very good job.
Very efficient.